Okay.
And it's interesting to state that some of the things he was looking ahead to do is to first streamline. You see, you have to take the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? You don't just get up and go to Kwewu and give all these lofty promises without getting the base right. Was the governor of the Bank of Ghana there?
I doubt.
I didn't see him there.
I doubt he was there.
Isn't he the person?
I think he's even out of town. I believe,
isn't he, or any of his reps?
Yeah,
isn't he the person? He has 2 deputies. Isn't he the person who is in charge of the banking sector? Mm-hmm. If the prime rate is up, the interest rate will definitely go up.
Right.
And if you tell them that reduce your interest rate, who is going to do that? We're getting everything wrong from the onset. It's not just about the rhetorics. If it's about the rhetorics, you can all do it and walk away. Didn't we ask for Ghana Beyond Aid? Didn't we ask for 1D, 1F, where every constituency or every hook and crony should be able to have their own source of income by producing things? But what stopped all this? I remember when I was at NIB, the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, called especially the banking within the government-regulated banks and said that, listen, I want you to spearhead this 1D, 1F. I want to make sure that every time you are at least sponsoring some company to boost itself. But it all comes back to one thing. If the prime rate is not coming down, work done is zero. So what did Dr. Baumia at that time say? He says, 1, let us look at identifying ourselves. The key aspect of it, identify yourself. Identify your address. That is why he was always going on the digital era, the biometrics. Identify your address. And thirdly, the credit scoring system, where each and every individual is called on their personal notes. If I go for a loan, the last 5 years, I've gone for 3 loans, and I've consistently paid. Once you are doing that credit scoring system, I go into the system where when they go and pick my details up, they realize that I can now even give this person a loan on a lower base. Because at the moment, we are doing a wholesale interest rate system where when you go into the agri sector, the interest rate is higher than even the commercial rate interest rate. So you ask yourself, are we growing the agri sector? Why wouldn't an ADB do more in the commercial than in the agri sector? Because the default rate in the agri sector is high. It's high. So I believe the president should take a break and really do the homework. Let his people sit down and work well. Get him the information he needs before he can start sailing and giving us all the nice rhetorics. We want a productive sector, a very good productive sector. But at the moment, we all see where letters are being given to people who have worked over 6 months, even 2 years. I've seen one for 2 years that they've told them that they should go home because they can no longer employ them.
Yeah.
Over 100, 200, 300 people have been sacked within the last 3-4 months from various organizations. Now you tell me that you want to grow the economy by giving more jobs? How do we do that? You don't say one thing and do another.
I get it. I get it.
Now coming
just
back to
the
access to finance.
I mean, look, they are very valid and legitimate concerns that you've raised. But doesn't that rather justify the creation of a platform like this? Because I noticed that, because I followed it too, I noticed that 2 things happened, basically. There was a platform that was created for people to have a conversation generally about the business climate, right? And some of these issues...
Which they know. Everybody knows. They've been saying it over the years.
That's right. You know, the thing about this country is nothing's new under the sun. But we keep talking. Even some of the issues we're talking about today, we keep talking. But I'm saying that the platform was created for a conversation to be had on the concerns that the business community have, right? And one of which is what you've just raised. Valid, very legitimate, because if we don't get the basics right, we're building on a very weak foundation. Where are we going? Yeah. And then the second part was about what the financial institutions themselves are saying they can do under the circumstances to support businesses regardless. So some of them were actually prepared to bend backwards in order to bring down interest rates, especially for the businesses that will be selecting. So for instance, if you're supposed to be selling money at say 20-something%, of course, based on the Bank of Ghana's prime rate, or what we call the policy rate, they are prepared to to bring it down.
Yeah.
You know, so like special rates for some of these businesses.
They
Do you understand what I'm
usually
saying?
do that
You know, so-
when government is going to pay the other aspect of it.
Is that what happens all the time?
It's been going on for how many years now? Go and check. Usually, the government will tell you that, okay, lend to understand this agri sector.
Yeah.
These people within the agri sector are 15%.
Okay.
The difference between the 15 to the 25%,
Which is say 10%.
which is the 10%, I would pay.
Oh, but it doesn't make sense.
It's happened. It's been happening.
Because at the end,
It's nothing new.
you and I will pay for that 10%.
Yes. So it's nothing new. That is why I'm saying that let us get our basics.
But don't
right.
banks and sorry,
and that is why you get
I
banks folding up sometimes, because sometimes it gets to a time where when government has to pay, they don't come in.
But don't banks have special dispensations for certain kinds of businesses, even without government intervention?
They come out with their interest rates,
Yes.
based on the policy rates,
Yes.
less plus or minus
Exactly.
this percentage.
Exactly.
But most of the time, it's plus. Most of the time, because when you're looking at your policy rate, you're looking at what you put on it. There's insurance, there's other things that come in. Because when I'm giving you, let's say, 100 Ghana cedis, the first thing I should make, and when you are checking the interest rates that are put on, how it's calculated, you realize that almost every time, the first few years or the first few part of the payment are very punitive. High interest, just to cover the money that has been lent out. Then the rest is the interest spread over some time. That is the profits that you make out of it. So you realize that at the end of the day, most businesses start paying and they are locked up. Most of them start paying and they are locked up. You see, so you need the person who is in charge to come in and say that, listen, we are going to give special dispensation for certain things. Let us all work together as a team. Let us make sure that if I'm giving agri sector, I want to make special case for agri sector. Any loans within the agri sector should not be more than this percentage or that percentage. We all work towards it. Because you can't come to maybe one good bank or a foreign bank who will give you some rates, and then the local banks are fighting over it. Because at the end of the day, most people go to the local banks and they think that is government money, so why should I pay? And then the banks suffer. Then you realize that you are closing our banks. You see, let us sit down and look at this holistically. It's like, oh yes, we've promised something, so let us give. He talked about the tax system, or the what do you call it? Another point he raised was the tax, and I was reading here for SMEs. It says that taxes support for SMEs, tax incentives, technical support, and improved infrastructure to lower business costs. Have they reduced taxes? No, apart from e-levy that they took out, the main taxes are still high. I remember on a campaign platform, the president stood out and said that, oh, when you go to the port, we have about 20 something taxes over there, or 19 or 20 taxes that have been listed. And he listed all of it. I thought one of the first things they were going to do was to scrap up some of those taxes. One of the first policies, or the things MPP did, was to scrap 15 when we came in 2017. 17 new cents. I even said 15. Most of the time I say 15 because the last one I never remember. 17. But 17 new
even
cents.
Though there's some contention there, but it's 17.
You see, 17 new cents. It's a fact. You can't take it away. Yes, later on, when there were some problems and this, we brought in some other taxes and this. But there were so many taxes we took out. We felt that one of the first taxes they said they were going to take out was the gov't tax. What has happened to it? You go to the port and still, I cleared something last week. I'm clearing another goods this week. The prices you pay for things are enormous. And you ask yourself, what is happening? Where are all the lofty promises that were given during campaign time? The finance minister is now telling us that they are setting up a committee to look at how they are going to go around the gov't tax. But when you were saying it, didn't you know that you were supposed to look at it? Then they come and tell us, they give us so many stories. One, they are saying that today, as we speak, on the 3rd of May, they are increasing electricity by how much? 14.75%. So every person is going to suffer for this. When you go and say, they'll tell you that, but you signed that under IMF with, what do you call it? MPP signed it with IMF before they came into power. But there are things that we signed with IMF, but you've taken off. We told IMF that due to the e-levy, we'll give you this. Yes, Dr. Bomia said when he comes, he was going to take it off. But he was going to look for other ways of getting monies back into the country. You haven't showed us other ways you are getting money back into the kitty. As we speak now, mining companies are suffering because they've increased their tax with the mining companies. Meanwhile, some of the licenses that you give them 1 year that they should operate with, and that after 1 year, when the gold board comes in, we are going to make sure that they, they renew their license and this. It's been revoked because of the gold board. People are suffering. International companies are suffering. And then you sit down and tell me that, oh, let us do business. Let us create wealth. Let us create the atmosphere where production is more than this thing. I remember in our time, yes. Nanado said what? This thing, Ghana beyond it. He said, industrialization.
Yeah.
Everybody is looking at industrializing this country because they know that at the end of it, the final products are better than giving the raw materials out at a cheaper rate. So everybody wants to go to that, towards that this thing way. But how do we go about it? Do we just do the normal rhetorics, or do we now put incentives in the way or around that people can pick up on it? You don't tell me that I'm going to create a job, and meanwhile, what I see in your first 4 years, or your first 4 months, or your first 100 days is sacking people. You don't tell me that I'm going to reduce taxes when I see that I'm rather going to pay more taxes.
Right.
Because I'm paying, or I'm going to pay more utilities and everything, because bills are going to go up. And it's going to affect the end product. All these are things that we should look at. Yes, we created the development bank just to create more wealth. You talked about the women banking. It hasn't even started. And it would not take less than a year or two for the women development bank to go into operation. Because at the moment, the money they've given them is just to do the preparatory work. I don't think that money would even start a development bank. A development bank is over $1 million. And so to go and do a women's development bank, you need over $1 million, not about the 25,000 or how much did you people say you are putting as a kitty?
Right.
That they've done. So let us be realistic. Let us be truthful to ourselves. Because the first thing you have to do is that when you are meeting them, be truthful about it. Yes, I just came into office. Yes, we want to work together. Yes, this is what I want the end result to be. But let us all look at it holistically and see how best we can help ourselves by making sure that one, interest rates are reduced. If we go through that, the system that Dr. Baumia wanted to put in place, the credit scoring, the digital location, the Ghana card, everything put together, you realize that people will be judged individually. So at the end of it all, you will be able to take your loans on an individual basis, not on the massive scale that we are doing at the moment, which is not helping businesses.
You also talked about, and here I'll take the portion of the blame as well. You know, when you were talking about the efforts that the Etua government had put in place to create a conducive business, a congenial business atmosphere. You talked about the party in government at the time scrapping 17 taxes. It's actually factually inaccurate. And because whilst you were at it, I was doing my own fact checking, and I also want to say a big thanks to Annie Ifuampofu for drawing my attention to this, because Fact Check Ghana did some work on this, and it came up with this finding, and it says communicators to the ruling MPP say that the government has abolished 17 taxes. However, the claim is misleading. What the government did with this was to scrap the same tax of 17.5% VAT NHIL off some specific services and goods. That does not mean the government abolished 4 different taxes. 1, the MPP abolished 17.5% VAT NHIL on financial services, selected imported medicines that are not produced locally, domestic airline tickets, 5% VAT NHIL on real estate sales. 2, the MP government also abolished income taxes on the following: 1% income tax on mutual fund and unit trust schemes, 25% income tax on real estate investment trust, which is what we call the REIT, 5% income tax on the commission of lotto agents and tax on lotto winnings. Other taxes the government has scrapped include the following: 1% special import levy, abolished excise duty on petroleum, duty on importation of spare parts, levies imposed on KAI by local authorities, and then tax on the gains from the realization of securities listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange or publicly held securities approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So the claim that the MP government has scrapped 17 nuisance taxes and has introduced not more than 10 is false.
So how many taxes were scrapped?
So for here, it's actually 5 taxes that were scrapped. 5.
Remember there was something like, I think, is the condom tax also that was scrapped. Remember?
Well,
all those taxes, small nuisance. That is what we call the nuisance taxes. You put all those together. You put all of those together.
But those
so if fact check is not going to check on condoms and other.
But those were specific to specific items.
But and they all taxes.
Instead of say VAT, VAT applies to almost everything that
apart from the VAT that we looked at and every other lesson that you read, there were specific items that we took off, and that's what I'm saying. That I even read that
you've put the two together. You've put
all of them together, yes, because there are taxes that have been reduced and scrapped. Okay. It's both reduction and scrap.
Oh, so that's why you keep talking about 17.
Yeah,
I see.
So it's not as if it's a one-line item that because it cuts across, so that is the 70. No. Okay. There are different little taxes that we felt were not necessary. I mean, if you are taxing something like condom, and there were, was it candles or something? There were little items that you really did not need to put taxes on.
Or levies on.
Or levies on, that we had to take off. And these are the things we are talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. But specifically in terms of tax assets, strictly speaking, there were just 5. But of course, like you said, if
I would have to go through that and
you don't doubt fact check that.
No, there are people who put their facts there.
Okay.
And there are people who put their facts there.
All right.
So and everybody, listen, even as a government, we make mistakes.
We'll take a little.
If you look at the look at other taxes that were introduced, even more than
yes.
Did we take taxes away or not? Whether we introduced some, and when I sat here, I never said I didn't say that we didn't take taxes.
I think
we didn't put taxes on.
But there were introduction of new taxes that burdened us.
My brother, when I was sitting here, did I state that when the need arose, we brought in certain taxes to help? Did I say that? Yes, I did.
You mentioned that.
I mentioned that. So don't do as if I came and I said that, we just took taxes off and that was it.
A number of them were taken away. But is it rather the opposite?
No.
Realize that
no. The taxes
only few taxes were taken away. No. Numerous, I'll say numerous, because you look at
name the number of taxes that we brought on. But it's not true.
So we have gov't levy that came in. We have electronic levy, financial sector cleanup. We have energy sector cleanup. We have sanitation and pollution. We have growth and sustainability. I can count and betting tax, withholding tax. We also have emission levy. We have tax.
Withholding tax was there already.
No. So there were some of the taxes. What happened is that there was a review, and the review went in the upward. So we have a number of them that they reviewed.
There were even taxes that they put in that we were afraid to bring out.
There were a number of taxes that were reviewed in the upward direction.
True or false? When the number of taxes that you people in 2016 passed, but were afraid to bring out.
So let's do something before we are.
Okay.
Our advertisers or our how do you call it? Our stakeholders slap some taxes on us for not doing what we are supposed to do. So just give us about 30 seconds.